As Iran's streets continue to pulse with anger and hope, there is one name that is echoing in a new generation. Reza Pahlavi, the son of Iran's last Shah. He is now stepping forward from exile, calling himself a voice for change. To supporters, he's a symbol of an Iran before clerical rule. But to critics, he's a reminder of the past that many do not want to go back. Remember, 2 generations have passed by since the Shah of Iran left the country in extremely different circumstances. Now, why is this man going to be important? And more importantly, can he play a role in Iran going forward? This report tells you more.
He was once a prince of a peacock throne. Now Reza Pahlavi is a man without a country, but not without ambition. Born into Iran's royal family, Pahlavi was just 17 when revolution swept his father from power in 1979. The monarchy collapsed, the Islamic Republic rose, and Pahlavi's life froze in exile. For decades, he was a footnote. But as protests shake Iran again, his voice is suddenly louder.
More than 5,000 elements that belong to the military and paramilitary forces refuse to go back to their posts, so they don't have to be faced with the duty to crack down on people. This is the beginning of the end of the regime that is hoping to buy some time.
From Paris to Washington, Pahlavi calls for an end to Iran's theocratic rule on satellite TV and social media. Some protesters chant his name, others chant something broader, down with the dictator. That split reveals his dilemma. Pahlavi is a unifying symbol for supporters, the only known name in a fractured opposition. But he is burdened by history. His father's authoritarian rule, the feared Savak secret police, and deep inequality that helped spark the revolution. Inside Iran, measuring his real support is nearly impossible. Many Iranians want change without trading one strong man for another. Whether he becomes a leader or just another loud echo may depend on one thing. Can Iranians agree not just on what they are against, but on who should lead what comes next? With Arjun Samar Mahendran, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Reza Pahlavi remains a powerful symbol, but symbols don't topple regimes on their own. Iran's opposition is broad, angry, and deeply divided, with no single leader at its center. Now, whether Reza Pahlavi becomes a bridge to a new future or a reminder of an old, unresolved past may define what comes after these protests fade or explode, viewers. In fact, let's now get in another important voice, Zamir Jafri, who's a scholar at Al Mustafa University in Iran, joins us to get a sense of how things are looking right now inside Iran. There's a complete clampdown in terms of internet. Starlink is available, but otherwise there's a complete blackout of internet and communication because the regime wants nobody to talk outside, to the outside world as to what really is happening. But Zamir Jafar is going to give us a sense of how this is looking. Zamir, thanks much for speaking to us on Fault Lines. Let me start by asking you, is Donald Trump using protests for actual regime change or as a leverage for any potential deal with Iran?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. It is very evident that Trump has no control of what is happening inside Iran. He's trying to just stay in the limelight using Iran as an option. Whether talking about regime change is laughable, and if anybody thinks that having few rioters on the road or few terrorists killing innocent civilians can bring about a regime change in Iran is absolutely laughable. In Iran, on 12th of January, when the government announced that they announced that there is going to be a huge rally in support of the government and against those terrorist activities funded by America and Israel, more than 3 million people just turned up in Tehran. And approximately 10 million people, that is 1 crore people, turned out on the streets in support of the government, in support of Ayatollah Khamenei in Iran. So this concept of, regime change in Iran is just a daydream, and I think the Western media should stop talking about it, and we should stop copying, pasting the same narrative.
Are chants for Pahlavi really genuine? Is there ground support for him? Is he just filling up a leadership vacuum because there isn't one leader right now for opposition?
Pahlavi is an element in this entire process. It's a useless element, and it's only support for Pahlavi is in Instagram, using bots and using fake users. That's it. Pahlavi is not beyond that, and Pahlavi is a useless case. I mean, let's get over this Pahlavi thing.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for giving us a perspective from what's happening inside Iran right now as those protests have been continuing. Now, viewers, this brings me to the blinkers off section of the show. If you take off your blinkers and you see what's happening inside Iran, there are 2-3 parallel things happening simultaneously. First and foremost, the scenario and the war gaming that we did for you here on Fault Lines is exactly what Donald Trump's administration is doing. They talked about protests being, they talked about how they want to back these protests, then suddenly took off, saying no, that he doesn't want to. He talked about that Reza Pahlavi is ready, then he said Reza Pahlavi is not ready. So there are these war gamings that is happening inside Trump administration as well, because the repercussions of any of those strikes are going to be very significant. Also, most importantly, the one question that everybody is asking, and that people in Donald Trump's regime are also asking, is do we want a Reza Pahlavi after the Iranian regime falls, or do we want someone else? And I think the answer to that is going to decide how soon these protests are going to make way for something that will be more stable, long-term and representative. Because right now this regime represents no one, and most certainly not the women of Iran.